Today, I will give you a list of the top three best cop duo movies. This is Media Chop Up. Before I get into my list, I'm going to share with you the parameters that I judge this on. Those parameters will be comedic banter between the two cop duo, chemistry, rewatch value, and sequel worthy. Now, let's jump into this list. Now, the first one is actually from a remake from the 80s. And although it got turned into a movie, they completely went a different direction. They turned it into a straight comedy, and it was a very silly comedy, but I ain't gonna lie, it was very entertaining. That first one will be 21 Jump Street. They even had a sequel called 22 Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, Schmidt and Janko. The two of them together, gold. Hilarious, very funny. Isn't one of the best movies, but very funny if you want to laugh. Next up, we have a throwback. I'm not sure how many of you guys seen this, but honestly, you have to have seen 48 Hours or another 48 Hours is the sequel. The mixture of Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte was golden, and at this time, Eddie Murphy could not miss, man. So this was a very popular cop movie that kind of made no sense, but nonetheless, it was very entertaining. Next up, we got some big dogs. We got Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Honestly, when this came to fruition, it was two TV stars that decided to switch over to the silver screen. And honestly, they had such an impact. Combination with all the action and one liners and the way it was filmed. It's a classic, in my opinion. Great movie, a bunch of sequels, definitely worthy. Next up, we have a drama that was very good. I'm not sure how many of you guys saw it. End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena. Very good movie. It was a very serious drama. Not as much comedy, but nonetheless, great storyline. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Next up, we got another classic, Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon franchise was so memorable, so funny, and everybody ran to the movie theaters to see this movie. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. How do you not know Danny Glover's line throughout this whole movie? I still use this line to this day. I'm getting too old for this shit. He would say that throughout the movie because Mel Gibson, the wild partner, the complete opposite. These two were two polar opposites. Would get him into trouble all the time, and Danny Glover just wanted to retire. So great movie, bunch of sequels. Later on, they ended up bringing in Joe Pesci and Chris Rock. Great movie. Next up, we have another remake from the 80s, turned into a movie, Miami Vice, with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx. Honestly, I used to watch the TV show. I felt like the TV show was better than the movie. No sequel, but nonetheless, action, good movie. Next up, another heavy hitter, Men in Black. Men in Black, Will Smith once again, Tommy Lee Jones. The combination of these guys, alien story, it being in New York City, the it factor of Will Smith, and there was even a hit song that he made that was like you couldn't even lie, you couldn't even refute dancing to it. It was just so catchy. The Men in Black song, that franchise was so successful. So much props to those guys. Next up, we got another drama. We have Money Train. Money Train with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson and Jennifer Lopez. John and Charlie. It was actually a comedy and drama at the same time. Good storyline. I enjoyed it. Next up, we have another classic that I'm not sure a lot of people have seen, but if you know these two actors, you know they're funny. That would be Running Scared with Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal. Definitely an 80s throwback. And movies back then were very simplistic, but they were funny and entertaining, and they could get away with a whole lot more. Very funny movie. Next up, we have another heavy hitter. That would be Rush Hour. Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. Honestly, this movie was magical to me because like the combination of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker together, going back and forth, him trying to understand what Jackie Chan was saying. Jackie Chan obviously bringing his skills to the table with kung fu. Great movie. Had a bunch of sequels. I think they're making another one now. I can't wait to see it. You can't turn away. Next up, I'm not sure how many of you people have seen it. Red Heat with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jim Belushi. Another 80s movie. This installment, I wasn't crazy about. Arnold really had no personality in this, but it was written that way. But I love Jim Belushi. He was in so many great movies in the 80s and 90s. Anything that he's in, I can definitely watch. Very comedic. One of my favorite movies of all time. I love this movie. I could watch this movie over and over again. That would be Tango and Cash with Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone. And the chemistry between these two guys was epic. If you haven't seen it, watch it. I don't want to give you too much of the story because I will tell you the whole story. But nonetheless, great movie, definitely worth mentioning. And finally, my last installment won a bunch of awards. Epic movie, one of the most epic movies of all time. Training Day. Training Day with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. This is a drama that dealt with gangs and a corrupt cop, and Denzel gave a masterful performance, and so did Ethan Hawke. That movie will be quoted forever as well, where King Kong ain't got nothing on me. And there's so many lines in that movie. So all those great movies to pick from. It's very hard to pick a top three, but I will start off. So number three, number three on my top three cop duo movies would be Rush Hour. Rush Hour, obviously, it goes without saying. Rush Hour was a great movie. Will have you laughing for days, reciting lines. In terms of how it did, that movie made $149 million worldwide. Extremely successful. That's my number three. My number two, I mentioned before, Bad Boys. Bad Boys, extremely successful. It has made to date. Now they have a current movie in a movie theater right now that is still making a lot of money right now. I heard it's great. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list. I'm gonna see it soon. But currently, Bad Boys has made $1.1 billion. That is the definition of successful, and that's why they keep giving you these sequels, because people keep seeing it, especially internationally. They love watching these American films. And number one, and it wasn't my number one when I first made this list, but then when I started looking at the numbers and really judging things, I had to put it as my number one. Number one would be Men in Black. Will Smith all over again. Will Smith is in number two and number one. Men in Black has made, I think they had four installments, and they have made worldwide $1.9 billion. My God, that's insane. That's an insane amount of money. So that has to be the number one best cop duo movies. I was so conflicted with this that I had to make two honorable mentions. The first honorable mention would be Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon was so good, where you had the tandem of Riggs and Murtaugh and the wild, unpredictable approach of Riggs with the family man, grounded senior officer that just wanted to retire and just wanted an easy day. He never got that in this movie. So that's one of my honorable mentions. It also made $487.6 million to date. I think they're coming out with another one. Like with these numbers, why not? Like, that's the way they see it. And finally, my last honorable mention would be 48 Hours. 48 Hours, although it's been quite some time since the last one came out, Eddie Murphy, man, he doesn't miss. Like, he's so charismatic. When he turned from a comedian to an actor, you could not get enough of him. In the 80s, in the 90s, he was nonstop. And 48 Hours was one of those movies that you just could not turn away. You could not laugh, and great movie. So that's basically it. That's my top three of best cop duo movies. Thank you for checking us out. Catch you on the next one. Peace.